Hey, everybody. Claudia De Silva here, your favorite redhead realtor with the Palm Leaf Realty Group at Coldwell Banker. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week. I am here to talk about a subject together with Ilse Cienfuegos that I'm very passionate about. I'm always talking about home equity, but I assumed or I thought maybe they're tired of listening to me talk about it. Maybe let's bring a guest with a different perspective that can talk about home equity. So, you guys, next week we wrap up our live series. So, we have one last video for you. December 3rd, I'm going to have a guest, Elizabeth Islas, that's going to talk about credit. What is credit? How you can build it? How can you improve it? Tips, things like that. So credit is very important for you to do anything in the US, to buy a car, to buy a home, open a credit card. And when you do any of those things, how do they affect your credit? So that's really important for you. So I wanted to talk about home equity because it's so important, especially now that looking at the data in the US, over 60% of US homeowners have their homes paid for. So they have built a lot of equity. What does that mean? What they can use it for? Ilse is going to talk to you about this right now. Hi, Ilse.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for joining us again. It's nice to have you back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
So today we decided to talk about equity. Do you want to give us first a little intro about yourself? Maybe some of the people joining us today have not heard our previous videos. So give us a little bit of your intro.
Well, my name is Ilse Cienfuegos. I am a mortgage lender and I've been in the Houston area for almost 10 years. I've been in the mortgage space for almost 7 years. And my expertise is helping first time home buyers and our Hispanic community achieve home ownership here and in the surrounding areas and really in the entire state of Texas.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So get started. So we're here to talk about equity, a key to wealth building. Let's translate that, break it down.
Well, equity is essentially what you own once you've paid, your debt, your loan, and that is going to be compared to what the home value is in the market at that present time. So you've got what your value is worth. Take your unpaid mortgages and any obligations that are tied to it. What you have remaining, that's your equity. I like to tell people that's their new piggy bank. That's their new bank.
Absolutely. Let me show you an example, y'all. So, for example, say that your home is worth 400,000 and you owe 250,000 on your mortgage, then your home equity is 150,000. I am a visual person, so I like to just show you guys what does that look like in reality. So it's the portion, the home equity is the portion of your home's value that you own outright. Okay. Tell us a little bit of history.
So this only goes back to the 50s, but I mean, obviously there was homeownership prior to that, maybe by not as many people. But around the 50s to the 70s, that's when you started seeing a lot of people jump into homeownership. And so what you were seeing was very rapid growth. A lot of people realized that that was a very smart, safe way to build wealth. And so for very many years, you didn't really see any issues or concerns with the market. Obviously, that changed in 2008, and we can always deep dive into that year and what came from it or why that happened. But if we focus on the positive, it's what is happening in today's market, which is that we continuously steady growth year over year. In fact, the annual growth is about 3 to 5% every year, depending on your market area, sometimes more, sometimes less. And so what people are seeing is that aside from that anomaly of 2008 and all the things that were happening financing wise that caused that to occur, moving forward from that, we've just seen a steady increase. And a lot of people are, I think, finally realizing that homeownership and, back to that keyword equity, that is a really driving force in building personal wealth. So.
Absolutely. You want me to change the slide? Okay, so we talked about equity. I'm going to actually, once you're done with the presentation, I'm going to talk about the ways that we can actually more deep dive into how we can use it. But how do
Sure.
you build it? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, building equity is something that I know it sounds really, really difficult and maybe foreign if you've never owned a home, but it's very simple. A lot of it is things that you don't even have to do actively yourself. So, one of them is just paying down your mortgage. If you make your minimum payments that they tell you to make, then you are going to see a 30-year mortgage in your future. However, if you're making payments towards your principal, which is what you're really borrowing, besides before interest, then you're really really gaining a lot of equity when you do that. Why? Because you're not paying so much interest over the life of the loan, and your home values are appreciating as you do that. So as I mentioned, 3 to 5% is kind of an average annually of what you would see in gains. And so as you're lowering your unpaid balances, your appreciation is increasing. And so that little area, that middle area, that's where your equity is. One of the other things that can help you build equity is going to be doing renovations and general maintenance and upkeep and upgrades to your home, because obviously, as you know, in every year there's going to be new construction, uh, updated appliances and interiors and things like that. So making sure that your home has the proper, maintenance and renovations and things like that you would see in the current market, that will also help you gain some equity.
Absolutely. So if you were here or if you listened to our last video that I had with Ilsa, it was more geared towards home buyers in a way, although it affects sellers because it was all about interest rates, how they come about and what affects them. Today, I feel that is a little bit more towards sellers. Not that buyers should not beware. You should know that when you're buying a home, you'll build equity. You'll have money in the bank. But as a seller, this is a very good subject and very timely to talk about, especially knowing that the majority of our sellers out there have over 60% of equity in their property and what they can do with it, especially when we have, maybe some bills or some things we want to do. And we can use this equity for, and we'll come back to that in a minute. So, tell us about the benefits of having a high home equity.
So what I did with this slide is I know you have a broad audience of buyers, sellers, perhaps agents that are watching, or even investors that are interested in or even becoming investors. So for a buyer, it's going to be just your basic building wealth. We've talked about many of the benefits into it, but that's the main one, and also providing a bit of a safety net financially for any emergencies or family obligations that you might have. So that's, again, that goes back to being your personal bank, so to speak. Now, as far as investors, it's a really good way to leverage equity to start building a portfolio. And what I mean by that is that you can, if you've purchased a home as an investor, you can take money from that equity and put it towards a future investment or repairs or things like that. So it isn't just for homeowners, it's for people that are purchasing properties as investment. That is still going to keep you sort of funded for future purchases or endeavors that you might have. And as far as for any agents that you may have, or really even just sellers, I would say that that's an agent slash seller, is you having equity in your home does open up opportunities for you to do things in the future, whether it be upgrading to a bigger home, or again, taking some of that equity to do other things in your life, or paying off debt as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I talk to my clients, so if you work with me in the past, I'm not going anywhere. I usually call myself the I give you advice. I'm not here to buy or sell with you. We're here to be, a counselor. That we're here to guide you through many investments. And I always like to bring it up that all of us can be investors. All of us in reality are investors. I like to be able to open the horizons for a lot of people that when they're buying their first home don't even think of themselves as an investor. I always bring it up. If you're listening to the video either now or later, leave a comment. You know that I've been on you with these subjects. That is, when you buy your first home, it may not be your forever home, it's a stepping stone. You can always build equity. That's what we're talking about today, and then we can use that equity to buy your bigger home, more towards your dream home, and rent that first property, and then start that portfolio that Ilse just talked about. There is other ways as well that we can use our equity, as Ilse mentioned, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper. Again, I'm a visual person. I have to show you what that means, and I'll break it down, okay? So the thing is, I love, absolutely love helping my downsizers. I have a lot of clients that are over 60 years old that live in over 3,000 square foot homes that I am actually helping downsize. We have a team of people that do the cleaning, landscape, and even help you pack and select the things you may or may not take with you, and how you can even sell them, and they can even sell them for you. Now, that's a way longer list of services we offer. If you are interested in knowing more, just reach out. But I'm really passionate helping downsizers because they have also built so much equity, and they don't sometimes need to be taking care of properties that they no longer use, bedrooms they don't even go into anymore, pools that they don't swim in anymore, landscape they don't have to be keeping the whole time, dealing with those possums and those raccoons like I am right now in my home. So what are a few things you can do with home equity when it's high? You can do home improvements, as Ilse very well said. Home improvements, you can use that to the renovations, upgrades, which will increase your home value further, because in the homeownership journey, you should always keep with the times. As Ilse was mentioning, there is maybe, Thermador or Wolf are now the appliances that everyone wants. And, you need to have all of those things, the new faucet that came into the market or the new tiles. And this it increases the value of your home. We went from breakfast bars to kitchen islands. So these are very good things to know. And we also have a cheat sheet for you that can help you with which are the things that add value to your home. That consolidation, guys, you can actually use equity to pay off high interest debts like credit cards by consolidating them at a lower interest rate on a home equity loan or line of credit that I know Ilse is going to address in a minute. You can also do investments. Investments, you can, as I mentioned, take that equity and invest in something else. I have two ways I like to do this right now. Is that first home buyer that upgrades to a bigger home but keeps that first property. I rent it out for them, and now that house is paid for themselves, and they use that equity to buy the house that they really want to be in. The second way that I like to do that is I have so many people between 45 and 55 that are looking at better ways to retire. There is a lot of people looking into retirement. We may not be able to get a lot of money from Social Security or from our 401ks or whatever that may be. So, guys, right now, using the equity to buy rental properties, even if you're not in the same state. I have two clients right now, one from Massachusetts, one from Chicago, that are buying small rental properties here so they don't have to come out of retirement when they do retire. So you can, leverage equity to build your wealth. Education costs, guys, the sooner you buy houses, the better, because at some point, if you don't have them already, you will have kids, or you don't, like me, but you still have dogs and they cost money. But if you do have kids, you may want to pay for that tuition and not be in debt. That's really, really a good way to leverage your equity. Emergency expenses, again, I'm talking about my downsizers. I'm talking about the golden years. Sometimes we have health issues that we did not thought would come. I thought I was going to live forever and I was super healthy. And now that I'm 43, starting to happen. So we need to prepare. So you can actually use home equity and not be owing money, tons and tons of dollars in expenses for medical bills. And then it's a way to supplement your retirement income, as we discussed. So these are a few ways that we can definitely use equity. And that was just a little bit more in depth. And then how do we do that? How do we go about it? Ilse, what are the ways that people can access their equity?
So the three main ways that you're going to be able to access your equity are the ones that we have on our screen right now, which is going to be a home equity line of credit. A HELOC is what you would hear it called often. You do have home equity loans, and then you also have cash out refinancing. And I'll go over kind of a few key differences. I won't bore you down with all the guidelines, but home equity line of credit is something that perhaps your bank might give you, and it sort of works like a credit card. It is a revolving credit line. And so what a bank may do is they may say, hey, you get $50,000 in your credit line. And so, you could say only use 5 or 10 and you would be paying that back. Now, the home equity lines of credit are going to be different in terms of the interest rate. When you hear about the Fed funds rate and everyone goes, no, 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 that doesn't control the mortgage interest rates. Well, it would control these rates because these are shorter term rates. And so that would be something you'd see impacted by the market. The other one would be a home equity loan, and that's going to be a fixed rate. And you get, say you get 25 or $50,000, that is the entire loan, and you pay it back over time. The third, which is my favorite, which is the one that we help out the most with, is going to be the cash out refinancing. We essentially, if you have a loan already, we would, take over that loan with this new one. We would pay that one off. And so at that point, you would be able to withdraw money from your account, and it sort of gets financed on top of your previous unpaid balance.
Okay. I do want to dive deeper. So I actually
Let's
really want to hear the nitty gritty because I love this. Like I want people to understand it better and I want to learn more as well. So let's go back to home equity loan. Number one, that one, does your house need to be paid off or not?
Not necessarily. No, it does not. And
Okay.
I would say that with these, there's no payoff or full 100% ownership requirement. Now, some banks may have different stipulations. I can only speak on, general knowledge and general rule.
Right. And usually the home equity loans are the HELOCs, the home equity line of credit. Those are done by banks, not by you or companies like that.
You may find a lender that can offer those products. They typically will be a broker product that is usually through a bank as well. And so it's, what I like to do for my clients is, if I feel like that process may be too lengthy or too difficult, or whatever the case may be, then I always do suggest that they go to their bank that they've probably had a relationship with for about 5, 10, 15 years, because I do find that they do offer, sometimes easier products.
Okay. So again, I'm a visual person. I need to see how does this all work. So say that I got a house for 300,000.
Sure.
And I owe 100,000 on it, right? So I have 200,000 of equity, correct?
Yes.
So how does that work then with the HELOC line of credit? So, or actually, how does that even work with the cash out refinance? So basically, I would come to you. What happens?
Right. So cash out refinancing in Texas is actually a little bit different than other states because we actually have in Texas a Texas cash out refi. And so with that, you can actually only borrow up to 80% of the value, which in a sense, I think that's good because it always maintains a 20% equity that you will build off of, right? Once you withdraw any money from your equity. And so what you would do in that sense is you would only be able to finance, or cash out 80%. Now, mind you, from that 80%, if you do have an outstanding mortgage, then that obviously gets paid out of that. So you always have to keep that in mind is that your equity, even if you do a cash out, is what is the unpaid balance on the previous loan.
Okay, perfect. And then you have something that I really like, but not everybody knows about it. That is the reverse mortgage.
Correct. Now, I will say on the reverse mortgage, I don't like to speak too much on it because that's not a product that we offer, but we are familiar with it, and that is a way for you to, I would say, after a certain age, that you would be a way to really tap into your equity for any future endeavors. Like I said, we don't offer that one, so it's kind of hard to speak on too much. I don't want to uh, misspeak and then have to retract my steps on that. However, I think it is a great tool. I actually had a friend of mine whose mom was going through a lot of life changes. Had lost a spouse. Realized as she looked around that, like you said, a 3,000 square foot home might be a little bit too big for her, and so she was able to explore those options with a lender that was very, very highly specialized in that. And so I always encourage people to just find a trusted advisor on those type of products and really, really ask questions. But it is a great tool for anybody that can use it.
Absolutely. And I do have a reverse mortgage specialist. Actually, I love it. I think it can help so many families, especially for multi-generational. And for those of you that don't know, is when we unfortunately have to have maybe two or three different generations living under the same roof, and it can help everybody. Now, again, as I said, visual person, there is 4 ways that we decided to address today on how you can access your home equity. So you have the home equity loan, that is a lump sum loan repaid in fixed monthly payments with your home as a collateral. We have the second one, the HELOC, a revolving credit line you can draw from as needed, similar to credit card. This is done by a bank. Very seldomly will mortgage brokers such as Ilsa have this product available to you. But what you can contact Ilsa about is about cash out refinance. So you replace your existing mortgage with a larger loan and take the difference as cash. I love this one. I may be talking to you some more about this, Ilsa. And then we have a reverse mortgage. So for homeowners that are over 62 plus and they have earned it. So convert equity into income without selling your home, repaid when you sell or unfortunately pass away. But this is really good stuff to know, right?
Yes, and one of the things that, from the first slide is talking about what has happened in history through, from the 50s to now. And like I said, every year we've seen appreciation in home values, every year, except for when the 2008 bubble happened. And so we are seeing time and time again that properties are increasing, that equity and home ownership are such a valuable tool to build wealth. And I had a couple of charts that I wanted to show you, but I don't think I have them on this slideshow. I love the pitfalls on that one. We can touch back on that one, but I don't know if I can send that to you, Claudia, or am I able to
Yes,
upload?
you can. If you can find them, you can go ahead and also present them.
All
You
right.
can share. Just go to present and share that information.
Since you mentioned visual,
Yes.
let's see.
And if you don't find them right now, we can always add them later to the presentation. But yeah, it does help to see that when we are talking to you as a home buyer or home seller buyer, that when you purchase a home, and the sooner you do it, the better. The younger you are, the better, because you're building that equity. Because homes appreciate. It's not just what the equity you build by repaying your loan, right? Of an asset you've been using for years, but also what the home appreciates. The home appreciates on top of that. So if you bought a home in 2008 for 150,000, that probably is worth over 300,000 right now. That is depending where it's located, with improvements have you done. But in some areas, sometimes you don't even need to do a lot of improvements, like the Houston Heights. I remember in 2008 when I moved to the Houston Heights, no one ever imagined it would become the real estate machine it has become now. We had, Victorian homes, older homes, but construction started a lot in 2010 there. So if you bought a home in the Heights in 2008 for nothing, even if you have done nothing to it and the walls are falling, you probably can sell it for a good chunk of money. So
Yes, absolutely.
it's a really interesting way to understand that home equity is not just what you pay back on your loan, but also what it builds through the years on equity. Did you find it, Ilsa?
I did. And one of the things I was going to mention, I'd written down on my notes because as I was, finalizing the presentation, of course, I go down rabbit holes on Housing Wire and all other articles. And key facts and tidbits, and of course, but they were saying in Q3 of 2023, right, that homeowners were holding like 30 trillion in home equity. Insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity. There's like, it's so much wealth. It's
There is over 60% of homeowners in the US, and the majority of them are over 50 years old. They do have their mortgage over 60% paid for, and I believe it's 30% it's paid for. I mean, that is a lot of equity. That means that we have 30% of the population that owns their houses outright. They're sitting on equity. So now we are having different conversations, you guys. We're having conversations about capital gains. If you sell that home, you have built so much equity, what is a good thing, but now you're going to pay over capital gains. So the new strategy that I'm talking to my downsizers about is actually pulling that equity and investing that equity and, maybe downsizing. So you have less of a capital gains that you need to pay. So we are now, oh my gosh, I have so much equity built, but now we're talking about paying all those taxes over what you have accrued. So it's like you can never have too little, never too much. It's like finding the balance.
Finding the balance and learning how to really diversify your assets. And I know we talked the last time about what drives rates and things like that, but it's all encompassing, right? It's all tied together with what happens, equity, the market, and so
Absolutely.
always a balance.
For sure. Do you want to move on to the next slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
All right, so this one is, we obviously know that the potential pitfalls, the red flags, as the young kids are calling them these days, is borrowing too much, borrowing above your means. We always say that the best time to purchase is when you're financially ready. And so we don't want you over leveraging or overextending yourself or your credit lines. So that's always important. And then market fluctuations, the market. Sometimes not even the market, sometimes just headlines. And so those are the things that you need to kind of be mindful of, I'd say. And so what is the solution? Like you mentioned earlier, is working with somebody that you trust. If you are looking into reverse mortgage space, consulting with your reverse mortgage specialist. If you're, interested in doing any cash outs, speaking with someone that is true and strong to the program that can really guide you the best, and so you can avoid any financial repercussions or costs. So yeah,
absolutely. And see it as an overall investment long term and having a plan. I love having those conversations, especially I share the same love as you do, Ilse, for first time home buyers. For that reason, I want to make sure that they get set up in their real estate journey the right way from the beginning, thinking
correct.
of themselves as investors and building upon it like Lego blocks, because you could really be set off for success of early retirement or having a diverse portfolio. And diversifying your assets is not just investing in the stock market, but also real estate, investment properties, maybe even commercial properties. It's very, very, very important. But you do have some real life success stories here to share with us.
I do, and it's very similar to the example that you gave earlier of someone taking their equity and paying off some debt. Now, average credit card interest rate right now, they say it's about 28, close to 29%. The average mortgage interest rate right now is about, I don't know, between 6.5, maybe 7.5, depending on the program, the product, things like that. And so being able to pull some of that equity to alleviate that high interest stress that you may have is such a good way to use the equity that you've built. And knowing that you're not replacing it with another 28, 29% loan, that you're reducing that, to about 21% almost. And then for an investor is being able to take equity in a previous investment purchase, or heck, even a primary purchase, and being able to take that money and putting it towards a future purchase to generate more income and more wealth. And so in this case, for an investor would be, buying a potential rental property or even a duplex to increase the cash flow.
Absolutely. Guys, let's talk about this for a second. Either you are an investor or home buyer, We're telling you this because we love what we do, right, Ilsa? We love what we do. We love to help you. We're here to help you. We wouldn't be spending the time doing these interviews if we didn't want to help you. Right now, we're talking November 21st, a few days away from Thanksgiving. It's the right time to buy. And you don't even have to have that much money saved up if you are a first time home buyer. But if you are an investor, that's a different story because, yes, we do require a certain percentage to be put down if you are an investor, such as 20 or 25%, depending on the property. What am I talking about? Talking new construction, you guys. New construction right now is king. Why? End of the year, end of inventory. They gotta get rid of their inventory. What hasn't sold, prices are reduced. They're giving incentives. They're paying for closing costs. Ask me about it. I just helped an investor purchase his third home, new construction, as you mentioned, with 100K leveraged by three. So now he has three leases coming in that pay for themselves. Doesn't have a lot of operate over than what you use on the mortgages, but there's some. And the thing is, you need to hold. When you are an investor, you buy and hold because that equity is going to be built year after year. That appreciation goes in there as well. So if you are looking to buy, be careful what you ask for. If you're asking for lower interest rates, because when the rates come down, the prices go up. This is the moment to buy. Get yourself a new home or a new investment for Christmas, and you shall not regret it. And I can show you the numbers. It's really, really important. Okay, Ilsa, I think you want to show us something here. There you go.
Yes. This is the U.S. home equity trends, and this actually will just go down to 2000, but it shows this enormous, enormous climb. And this is negative equity, which is something that we used to worry about.
Right.
Remember when there was products that had balloon payments and things like that. So we see that negative mortgages have greatly reduced, and people are just building wealth. It is, this is probably one of my favorite charts. And then this is another one, and it's talking about home prices. And as you can see, this is, I think, just from COVID on to now, where you just see a steady, steady climb in home prices. So for the people that, say, well, do you really build wealth? Yes, clearly. And also, well, will the homes really continue to appreciate? Well,
1000%.
1000%.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. You guys, another thing, if you are from Texas and you were here, before COVID, you know as well as I do that homes were underappreciated. I used to brag that the houses here were 250,000. They were underappreciated. They were not at the same level as they, as other states. So what did it mean? A lot of people moved here from other states where a house, 3,000 square feet, can be millions, millions easily, such as California, Chicago, New York, right? So when they came here and they saw houses at 3,000 square feet under 400,000 or under 300,000, they didn't just purchase one. They purchased one from themselves, one for their parents, and they had a lot of people that followed them. Families came over. So now they are sitting on tremendous equity because they made that investment. So if you're local here, if you're not planning to move out of Texas or Houston, let's sit down and review what your goals are for home ownership, because we all going to get to our golden years, 60 plus years if we are lucky to be here, because I consider everyone lucky after 60 to be in this planet and in good health. You may need that equity. That's why we're doing this video. You may need that equity. Equity to leave if you don't have the retirement you wanted. Equity to leave if you have medical bills that you did not foresee when you were 30. Or maybe equity to pay for student loans that you didn't get to pay while you were working. Now you want to be retired and you know what? I don't want to deal with this anymore. You can get that equity and get it done. Right, Ilsa?
Correct. Yeah. There's so many ways that you can leverage your equity. and that you won't get anywhere else other than by being a homeowner.
Absolutely. Ilse, this was yet one of my favorite lives that I have done. It's definitely a subject that I'm passionate about. I talk every day about it, and I'm happy to have other people that are as passionate as I am to talk about it.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much for giving me the time to talk about it with you. I feel like if you gave us 2 hours, we could probably find key facts and data to give people because there's so much out there.
Absolutely. Ilse, don't go anywhere. I'm just going to say goodbye. Anyone that is watching us, if you want a connection with Ilse or any other real estate professional you need to reach out, send me a direct message, an email, text me, let me know what you need and how I can better serve you. And I do have a very special offer for you. Yes, I do have a guide that it talks about what is equity and what you can do with it. So if you want this free guide, just send me a text message, send me a direct message, and I'll send it to you. It's free of cost. And it's just information on what, where, and when on equity. Thank you so much for watching us, Ilse. Thank you so much. Bye, you guys.